It's time. I think I have to be quieter this time because I think the people that live in this house have gone to sleep now. What's up, everybody? D-Man back. Welcome to a brand new video, and today we're going to be doing another Godzilla x Kong discussion video. That's right, this time it is time to take some shots in the dark. We're going to be making some big leaps here today. But first of all, let me just start out by saying, I was right. I was right. So many years ago, I was right. There are two Kongs in the Monsterverse. I was wrong. I thought there was going to be two Kongs in Kong Skull Island, and I thought Kong was going to have to fight another Kong who was a bit more evolved and a bit more powerful than him, and he was going to win, thus becoming King Kong. And I was sort of right, because here we are in 2023, and Kong looks like he's about to go up against another Kong to have to kill him to become King Kong. How about that? Okay. All right, I'm putting the axe down. Okay. In this video, we are going to be discussing who Godzilla and Kong are fighting in the new movie. Now, I know the teaser seems pretty cut and dry, right? Like, Godzilla and Kong are going to be teaming up against the new Kong. I don't think so. I don't think it's going to be this cut and dry. I think there's a lot going on here that we have to uncover, and I am so excited to dive into my theories. Look, I was lukewarm on the teaser the first time I saw it, and then the more it started to gestate, the more I went, oh my god, there's so much potential here to be amazing, to be the coolest freaking thing we've ever seen. And I'm gonna pitch my theories to you guys and see what you think, and hopefully I can get you guys excited too, because I've seen a lot of people are not as excited about this as I am. Like, I am super hyped about this, and I'm not normally this hyped about Monsterverse stuff anymore, but this is the most hyped I have been since pre-King of the Monsters, literally since before King of the Monsters came out. Also, the Kong in the teaser, seems the fan base has landed on a name for him. I was calling him Cranky Kong, and that seems to not be the name people want to call him. It seems the name that the fan bases land on is Emperor Kong. Emperor Kong because the title for the movie is The New Empire, and because the Emperor in Star Wars is the biggest bad guy. I propose an alternate title. What if instead of Emperor Kong, we call him King Kong, King of King Kong's King? I think that could really catch on. I think that could be a really big missed opportunity if they don't call him King Kong, King of King Kong's King. Of course, in this case, King Kong's King potentially being Godzilla, because Godzilla is, of course, the king of the monsters and the king of the earth. Well, Kong is only the king of the Hollow Earth. So I think this is an opportunity to really change up the title for the movie overall and have it be called King Kong versus King Kong, King of King Kong's King versus Godzilla. The king of the monsters. Okay, let's get into my theories here. I'm going to call him Emperor Kong because it's a badass fucking name. I like it. All right, let's just one more time go over the plot synopsis for this new movie, and we'll really break down the important bits. The latest entry in the Monsterverse franchise, following up on the explosive showdown Godzilla vs. Kong with an all-new cinematic adventure, pitting the almighty Kong and the fearsome Godzilla against a colossal, undiscovered threat hidden within our world, challenging their very existence and our own. The epic new film will delve further into the histories of these titans, their origins, and the mysteries of Skull Island and beyond, while uncovering the mythic battle that helped forge these extraordinary beings and tied them to humankind forever. Okay, here's my pitch. The Titan War is going on. The Godzillas are versing the Kongs. It's kind of at a stalemate because the Kongs have created weapons that can now compete with the Godzillas equally. The Godzillas are losing ground. As we know in Godzilla Dominion, they eventually take their fight to the surface world. In the surface world, they battle over dominance of Skull Island, where eventually the Kongs win out and that becomes their domain, while the few Godzillas leave. One of them is Dagon, who's eventually killed, and one of them is Godzilla. So here's my pitch. What if the thing that forced them up to the surface was this lurking threat, this predator, something that they were not aware of, that started to pick off both Godzillas and Kongs? Maybe they had an encounter with him, maybe that some titans knew about him, but I'm theorizing that nobody did because it's an undiscovered threat hidden within our world. I'm thinking this might be a Kong who was able to somehow, maybe it was through sheer intelligence, out-battle both the Godzillas and the Kongs Kongs and force them out. Or, here's another shot in the dark. Maybe when the Kongs fled to Skull Island, there was one that got left behind. One single Kong who had to compete against an entire world of threat. All of the monsters of the Hollow Earth coming against this one guy. There's multiple Godzillas down here, and he has to undergo rapid, constant thought process evolution to outsmart these guys and stay alive, and it has led him to be this grizzled, fearsome foe who will go against anybody, including the Kongs, because they abandoned him. Maybe that's who this is. This Kong that was forgotten about, who wasn't a threat back in the day, but his bitterness and anger has made him one. That's just a great supervillain origin story. Okay. And now we can finally say there are 2 Kongs in the Monsterverse confirmed. I was finally right. After all these years, I was finally right. God damn it. Now, to be fair, I did hear there would be multiple Kongs in this movie. I heard that like years ago. I heard it around the same time that I heard the original pitch for this movie was in fact Son of Kong. I have always assumed that what this referred to is that there is a tribe of Kongs living in the Hollow Earth that probably get killed by a new threat who eventually becomes the big threat of the movie, that Kong, now the King Kong, because he's the king of the one or few remaining Kongs, must team up with Godzilla to take down. That was my original thought. I'm no longer thinking that's going to be the case. I also assumed that we would see multiple Kongs and multiple Godzillas in this movie because I have assumed, due to the title Origins, we would be seeing flashbacks to the ancient Titan War where the Godzillas and the Kongs fought one another, and that would give us some GVK action without actually having Godzilla and Kong fight each other. It seems like they've come with a more creative way to have Godzilla and Kong fight each other, and it's just not the same Kong. Now, KDM revealed that this Kong was actually teased in the crew merch a long time ago. Months ago, we saw teasers of him. In the teasers we see of him, he has the Iwi tribal paint all over his face, and he has glowing orange eyes, very similar to the glowing orange eyes of Kong himself. I don't know if his eyes are going to be able to change color in the movie because, of course, in the teaser he has glowing blue eyes, but I think the blue eyes are going to be what's in the movie due to the fact that that's what we see in the animation, and clearly the animation is the more recent thing that they put more time into. Okay, so the final image reveal in this trailer is a Godzilla skull glowing blue and a Kong skull glowing orange, showing that they are sticking to the color palette for Godzilla and Kong in the foreground, while this creature sits as a threat to both. The eyes of this creature glow blue, as we talked about in the last video, which is very similar to Godzilla, whose eyes also glow blue right before he does his attack. KDM has teased on Twitter that this Kong has powers we cannot even imagine yet, so I'm trying to guess what they could be. Kong's eyes are known to glow under the right circumstances, I talked about in the last video, but I think this is very different. I think this is a very different thing. A lot of people speculate that he can harness Hollow Earth energy and maybe do a beam attack of his own. I don't think he can. I subscribe to the theory that he can probably do lightning powers, very similar to King Kong from King Kong vs. Godzilla 1962, and I think Kong will be able to use those powers by the end of the movie. Another idea that I think is very interesting that I haven't heard anybody talk about is, what if he can light up and do an EMP? I don't know if he can physically do it. Maybe it's because he's harnessed so much Hollow Earth energy that his body has undergone some sort of evolution over the past millions and millions of years to compete with the Godzillas, and he can do an EMP to neutralize their atomic breath the same way that the Mutos could. That could be an idea. Or what if he has like a ripped out EMP sack from a Muto that he can maybe shock into action? Maybe he does have electric powers, and he's got all sorts of these weapons built out of the body parts of fallen foes, one of which being an EMP sack that he has stolen from a Muto. I know I'm taking shots pure in the dark, but KDM said we can't guess the powers this Kong will hold, so I'm trying. What if he can harness an EMP sack to EMP Godzilla that will take away Godzilla's most powerful weapon, or at least make it way weaker? What I'm really excited for about this new Kong, this new Emperor Kong, is the moral dilemma I'm expecting Wingard to give Kong. Wingard has, of course, said his goal is to treat the kaiju as characters rather than as monsters. What better way to have your hero undergo some sort of trials and tribulations than to have it be personal? Kong meets the very first member of his kind. This lonely soul who has been nothing but wanting a family since birth finally meets another member of his species, and this member of his species, maybe he doesn't attack Kong outright. Maybe he just is like, oh, maybe he takes Kong in and is kind of like this mentor figure for Kong a little bit earlier into the movie, and then through some means or another Godzilla gets involved, and this new Emperor Kong wants Godzilla dead because of course he would. And now Kong is put in this moral dilemma where he just ended the Titan War. Kong has just ended the ancient Titan War that has been going for millions of years, and this Godzilla has saved his life, he has saved its life, they have a mutual respect, and Kong's like, oh shit, what do? I can't let this guy die, he just saved me and I just saved him. him, but this is a new member of my species, and this moral dilemma that it puts Kong under, where he eventually has to side with Godzilla for one reason or another. Maybe this new Kong just winds up doing a war against humanity or something, I don't know. But will Kong have to kill the only known member of his species at the end of this movie? The only potential family he has? Will Kong's journey be having to kill the one family member he has ever met after his entire life wanting to meet one? Oh my god, that would be incredible. That would be so incredible. But what if this Emperor Kong has a secret son that is revealed in the end of the movie, and Kong can adopt this son, and that becomes the son of Kong, and Kong can now train this guy to be a good person? There's so much potential here. I am so ready for it. My big takeaway from the plot synopsis is that this is not an ancient rival. This is not an ancient rival in the way that the Mutos had an ancient rivalry with the Godzilla species, and Ghidorah had an ancient rivalry with Gojira, and the Kongs and the Godzillas had an ancient war. My thought is, what if this Kong just betrayed the other Kongs and is pure evil and is a Kaiju Predator? What if he hunts for sport? You know, he's wearing war paint in the teaser, potentially. I mean, KDM seems to imply that he is. So he's wearing war paint. What if he just kills for sport? What if he's just a hunter he's not an ancient rival. He's just a guy looking to kill people for sport. Or maybe it's because he was put in this position where he was just bombarded as the only Kong left in the Hollow Earth for so long that he's going against all the other Kongs, or all the monsters in general. My big thought is, what if Godzilla had already left the Hollow Earth by the time this Kong rose to power? You know, in Godzilla Dominion, we learned that Godzilla doesn't really go down into the actual Hollow Earth very often. He stays in the tunnels. Maybe he knows something is down there that's bad for him. Maybe he's not brave enough to go down there, or maybe he just isn't really surely aware of what it is. Maybe he's like, I know something's down there, but I don't want to find out what it is. So he avoids it. Or maybe he just doesn't care for the Hollow Earth. He's like, Earth's balance is way more out of flux on the surface. That's where I need to be. That's my job. I don't care about the Hollow Earth. Kong can go deal with that. Okay, so then how do we get Godzilla involved without it being an ancient rivalry, which is cringe at this point? If they do an ancient rivalry, I'm going to be so bored. I'm hoping that what they do is this Kong, for some reason or another, gets pissed at the surface world, and as I'll talk about in a little bit, starts sending kaiju up to the surface world that Godzilla is now having to deal with. And Godzilla's like, holy shit, this is annoying. I gotta stop this. Wherever the source of this is, I gotta stop it. And Godzilla goes into the Hollow Earth and goes to the Kong we know, only for the two of them to discover that this Emperor Kong is actually the one who is pulling the strings all along. I'm giving them real personalities and characters at this point, and I think Wingard is too. This Kong is pulling the strings, and now Godzilla and Kong are like, we have to fight this guy. That could be great. Oh my god, that could be great. It could give us some great Godzilla versus Titan action up on the surface while Kong's fighting other monsters down on the Hollow Earth, only to do a Monster Zero reveal where Kong is like the Exilians and he's like, actually, I have been controlling Ghidorah all along. They're not Ghidorah, but he's like, all the Titans that you've been dealing with in this movie are because of me. That'd be great. Hello, I'm not the D-Man you've been watching. I'm the D-Man from 2 days after that D-Man. I'm actually going to end the video here because the video totally pivots into basically a brand new topic for the rest of the time. I'm no longer talking about King Kong, King of King Kong's king. I'm now talking about a brand new set of ideas. So I'm actually going to end the video here, which means I'll do another discussion video coming up next on what I think the potential is for multiple other Titans to be involved in this upcoming movie, and how I think that the new Kong can potentially pose a threat beyond just what he can physically do himself. Also, I just want to say, I'm curious to see what the reaction to the theories I pitch in this video is going to be. I would like to clarify, because I didn't really clarify in this video. A lot of the stuff I've pitched to you guys, I don't actually love. Like, I don't want a superpowered gorilla or orangutan, which is seemingly what it is. I don't need a superpowered orangutan who can have mind control and who can have EMPs shooting out of him. I'd be far more interested if he had just harvested a bunch of organs from other kaiju and was now able to use those as weapons and tools to his advantage. The only reason I'm pitching all these crazy ideas is because KDM says, expect the unexpected. This new ape has crazy powers you can't even imagine. So I'm trying my best to be like, what could those powers be? But I'll end it here for this one, guys. If you want to support the channel, please consider checking out the Patreon, which is linked down below. By supporting the Patreon, it actually goes a super long way towards making sure I can keep making videos like this for you guys. Also, the summer's coming up, which means I'll be able to dive into the Patreon much deeper than I have been able to in the past. And if you support the Patreon, you can get early access to content, access to the Discord community, and more. Thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed. I will see you guys next time for the next one. D-Man out.